What's up, you guys? Today I'm bringing you another review of a flight stick. This time it is the VKB Gunfighter Mk.II. A big shout out to Fox for letting me use his flight stick for the purposes of this review. If you guys like the mounts you see in this video, hit the link in the description below. It'll take you right to his website and pick up a pair for yourself. Over the course of the last 3 weeks or so, I've used this stick in flight sims, I've used it in space sims. I'm going to give you guys my impressions of it and its strengths and weaknesses as far as I see them. Okay, so let's get right into it. This thing is the VKB Gunfighter Pro Mk.II. This is a stick designed to compete with the top of the line sticks out there on the market. This stick goes anywhere from $350 to $460 US from VKB North America, and it is meant to be a premium stick. So that is the frame of reference that I'm going to be approaching this stick with when evaluating the things that it does well and the things that it does badly. So I've broken the review into a few categories. The first one is ergonomics. I'm going to say straight out of the gates that this is easily the best ergonomic stick I've tried ever. I mean, the way it feels in your hand is like it was molded for it. It really is super, super comfortable. It's got finger grooves, buttons and triggers are all easy to reach, at least for my hands. And I actually really like this style of palm rest. It's not gonna move if you don't want it to. It's adjustable, and I just think that it cradles your hand perfectly. So ergonomics is a very subjective factor. And if it fits my hand perfectly, I fully realize that means it may not fit other people's hands perfectly. I've got fairly large hands, so if it's a perfect fit for mine, if you have smaller hands, you may have a harder time getting around the buttons on this stick. So this is the Virpil stick, and this is the VKB stick. You can see that it is significantly larger than the Virpil stick. When I flip them around like this, you can see that the button layout is very similar, but the buttons are all further apart from one another. Again, I don't have any issue reaching them with my thumb, but if you have smaller hands, you might have a harder time getting to some of those thumb buttons and some of those thumb sticks. Here is the Thrustmaster Warthog. In comparison, you can see it's quite a bit smaller than the VKB. And the button layout, while not similar, is certainly much more navigable for smaller hands. Okay, let's go over the build quality. The grip is made out of a plastic. I assume it's molded. The pieces don't move or flex or rattle in any way when you squeeze them. They don't creak or anything like that. However, the plastic feels cheap. I don't know if you can, it's difficult to show you guys the way it feels because it looks like $1 million, but it doesn't feel like $1 million. And when you interact with other parts of the grip, as I'll show you in a second, it reminds you that this plastic is pretty thin plastic. The trigger, the primary trigger, has 2 detents, neither which have a satisfying activation response. There's the first one and the second one. Second one's a little better. The first one is like a chintzy spring feel. Now this is a pet peeve of mine of a lot of sticks, so maybe it's not just on VKB for fixing this issue. A lot of flight sticks have crummy feeling triggers, and it is going to be the thing you press the most potentially on the grip. So I wish that they would put more effort into these buttons. The next trigger, which is the secondary trigger, is worse. It is made out of metal, which is a huge boon for it, but its activation is almost non-existent. I only know it's actually activating anything because I can hear it, but there's no discernible feeling, no detent, no bump, no stop, nothing. I have been wearing headphones and listening to music or having a lot of, explosions or sounds of weapons or whatever engine noises going on, and the only way I know something fires is that it happens on screen. We may as well go straight down to the brake lever. Another metal lever, which is awesome. I wish that more pieces were metal on all of these flight sticks, but its sturdy build is almost a negative, because when you hit the stops, you start to hear the rest of the stick's build quality suffer. You hear little rattles, you hear sort of that hollowness of the stick, and it's a shame because it's metal, feels good, doesn't rattle, doesn't have any side-to-side play, but it's reminding you that the rest of the stick's build quality is just not great. I also kind of wish that they hadn't chosen chrome for these two pieces. The irony of them both being probably the best built part of the sticks is that they look like the most plasticky, cheap part of the stick, in my opinion. Anyway, we move over to the buttons. The buttons appear to be similar to any other buttons on any other stick at first glance, but when you interact with them, they've got a kind of a bad activation response. It doesn't feel like a quality click. And what's worse is when you're not clicking it, but you're just, I mean, this is me just running my finger over the buttons. They rattle. They rattle in their socket. So it reminds you that these are just not, the tolerances are not very tight on this stick. Again, when you hit the stops on the brake lever, you're hearing these buttons rattle around. It's a shame that they have such a good start with ergonomics and a couple of solid pieces built into the stick, but they've really mailed it in on the buttons. Probably the high point of the VKB Gunfighter for a lot of people is going to be these thumbsticks. The thumbsticks are true thumbsticks. These two sticks are not 4-way hats. They're not 8-way hats. They are full thumbsticks. It's a feature that I wish all hats on all flight sticks had, because it means that you can bind it to trim. It means you can bind it to a cursor on an MFD. It gives you all kinds of options that you can sort of cheat on when you have a 4 or 8-way hat, but it would be much better to have a true thumbstick, at least one on other sticks. So this is a huge advantage. Let's move down the stick to the extension. The extension is awesome. Long extensions give you a lot more throw, give you a lot more fine control over your inputs. So I love the extension. It comes at a price though. It's not free. It's not included. I love that it is an S-curve extension. It gives you that sort of illusion that the stick is mounted forward on the floor and it's moving into your lap. I will say, while I love the form factor of the extension, it is not very customizable, meaning if you have an extension similar to this, you can use these on both Virpils and Thrustmasters. You can get these in longer segments, and you can combine segments together so that you can get the height of your extension exactly where you want it. I think that's a big benefit to this style. While it doesn't look as sexy as the gooseneck here, I think it is more practical than this one. But this one's good. It's just not customizable. The other thing that is unfortunate, while built impeccably, the connection between the extension and the grip is built super well, great engineering, totally, completely proprietary. So this thing is going to only be usable with this grip ecosystem. It's the same ecosystem on other VKB sticks, so you will be able to use this base and of course this extension with other sticks like the Cosmosema they just put out. However, you won't be able to use it with a Virpil stick. You won't be able to use it with a Thrustmaster stick. Those manufacturers have decided to use a system that is more universal, and it gives you a lot more choices when it comes to customizing your experience. VKB doesn't. Let's move over to the base. Now the base is widely considered to be one of the best on the market. It combines a very sturdy build with a ton of customization options and a very small footprint, considering your ability to put a very long extension on it and still retain a lot of resistance and a lot of feedback. You can see inside the cams and the springs are similar to the Virpil, or the Virpil is similar to it, however you want to look at it. The stick comes with a ton of cams and springs. Hang on, let me show you. This is a bag full of cams and springs of various strengths. There's a 10, there's a 20 pound, there's a 30 pound, there's a 50 pound, and there are various cams to go with each of those as well. It's like, it's impressive. These are choices, which is awesome. In contrast, Virpil gives you 2 sets with each stick, but you have to buy the other cams and springs if you want to go outside of those 2 options. So a big benefit of VKB is they give you all these choices right in the box. So of course you do not have to use this extension. You can put this grip straight onto the base. Let's do that. The system, by the way, that they use to secure the stick to the base is very easy to use, very sturdy, but it does require a tool. Unlike the Virpil and the Thrustmaster, which is just a thumb and finger loosened and tightened collar, this requires a hex wrench and a little putzing with to make sure it fits in there right. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's on the base directly, no extension. It does come with a base plate. This is what it looks like. The Virpil is quite a bit taller, even without a base plate. The Thrustmaster is about the same, but even without this base plate would probably be taller, maybe about the same. Definitely moves around a lot more than the Gunfighter. Again, that's all subject to your springs and your cams in there, and you can make those adjustments to your liking. But you can see sort of the different profiles, the different looks of each of these sticks. They're really, you know, they're quite different sticks. Okay, let's talk software. The software is another high point in VKB's ecosystem. It's probably the best looking, most user-friendly software I've used, and that is including Target from Thrustmaster and Virpil's software. Neither of those 2 are super intuitive, and neither of them are very modern looking or very polished looking. The VKB software was very easy for me to use, very easy for me to figure out without even reading manuals or downloading PDFs to get instructions on how to do certain things. It worked right out of the box, very easy. I really enjoyed the experience with the software. Another interesting choice VKB has made is to take the USB controller out of the stick itself and put it into this thing, the black box. It looks cool. It's made out of metal, painted orange. Feels like it does something super special. The only advantage I see to this thing is that when you have 2 peripherals, like the VKB rudder pedals, which I love by the way, go check out my review. You plug the rudder pedals into this, you plug the stick into this, and now you only need 1 USB port for both. Aside from that, I'm not really sure why they insist on having a separate external USB controller. I have the VKB pedals. If I had purchased this, I would have 2 of these, and one of them would not be necessary at all. Okay, so you've only got this short cable to connect your stick and the black box. And when you're using a desk mount like I've got, this doesn't really have like a home, you know? You have to route this. You can't really route this anywhere. You have to route this to the black box, and now you've got this sort of somewhere that you've got to like figure out where it should go. You kind of have to attach it to your desk mount in some weird, like with zip ties or something like that. I just wish that they had included a much longer version of this cable, or maybe you can choose to buy one that's 6 feet long or something, so that you can route this cable through to somewhere under your desk or behind your desk, and now this thing is hidden and you've only got one cable coming out of here. If you try to route, put this into a situation near your stick, now you've got the power USB and the other cable coming from maybe your pedals or whatever. So you've got two cables coming out of here. It's actually messier than if you had just a USB controller in here that goes straight to your computer. So again, it's not a bad part of the stick. It's just a weird choice, and I'm not sure why it exists. Okay, so let's sum things up. The VKB Gunfighter Pro Mark II. It's got some high points and it's got some low points. It has the best ergonomics of the whole bunch, in my opinion. Very comfortable. It's also very large though, so that might not be as much of a benefit to others as it is to me. The stick doesn't come in a left-hand variant. The metal pieces are great, but they don't make up for a really, really bad build quality in the buttons and in the molded plastic. VKB doesn't make a throttle, so if you're looking to have a VKB pure cockpit, I've heard they're making one. You're gonna have to wait longer. The stick doesn't have twist, so again, if you want a stick that allows you to not need rudder pedals for flight, or you want twist for your space sims, you're not gonna get it from VKB, although they do have a rumored module coming out that retrofits onto their sticks, which will give you twist. That would be brilliant. The base is top tier for sure. It is highly customizable. All of those customizations come with it in the box, so you don't have to pay extra for it. It is a very small footprint. The USB controller, the black box, why it's not built into this, I don't know. Maybe to keep the size down. A side note about VKB products is that they are not easy to get. They don't produce them in large numbers, and when they sell out, it is not clear when they're going to restock. So it's made a lot of consumers frustrated when they have made the decision to pick up a VKB product and they go to the website and they are not for sale, out of stock. You sort of have to go to forums or, just check back often to see if they're available. And they're made in such small numbers that they just sell out quickly, and who knows when they come back in stock. So I would say that if you want one of these sticks, you're gonna have to pay close attention to their restocking schedule. Subscribe to their newsletters, go onto the forums that they announce their restocks, and catch them when they're in. Okay guys, that does it for the VKB Gunfighter Pro Mark II review. If you have more questions about the stick, leave them in the comments section below. Another big shout out to Fox Mounts for lending me the stick to review. Go check them out if you're in the market for a desk mount for your flight sticks and throttles. Thanks for coming by the channel, you guys. Hit the like button if you liked the video. Hit the sub button if you want to help the channel out even more. Head over to Twitch, play some video games with us live on the live stream. Come back next time for the next review. Peace.